Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a special one-shot for Fusion November, and it's also linked to two other one-shots. I wonder if you can guess below. Comment down below what it is, and make sure you smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and a massive shout out to Shani Artist over on Instagram for the gorgeous use of her picture in the thumbnail. So a massive thank you, and her links are below, so make sure you go and check her out and send her some love. Okay, I hope you enjoy all of me. All of me. Marinette's POV. Pound it! Ladybug and Cat Noir held their fists out, but she noticed he couldn't quite meet her eyes. Thanks, Cat. I'll see you next time. She wanted to reach out to him, ask if everything was okay, to take her love into her arms, but he wasn't her love. He was Marinette's. How strange it was to be jealous of her other half. Milady, can I have a word with you? He stepped closer, but his gaze was drifting around the street, not able to focus on her face. What was wrong? That he couldn't meet Ladybug's eye? Of course, Cat. Meet you in our usual spot in 5? He nodded, taking out his baton. Thanks, Ladybug. See you soon. Before she could answer, he jumped off. Ladybug watched him leave, yearning for him. Once he was out of sight, she darted to the nearest alleyway, checking no one else was around, and said, "Spot's off." She took out a cookie for Tiki and handed it to her little red Kwami. Tiki, you'll need to be fast. Cat has asked to have a word with me. What do you think that could be about? Tiki said, crumbs escaping her mouth. Marinette glanced at the sparkling ring of emeralds and a single diamond. It had only been a few days since she stood in their secret garden, Cat reading out the poem he had crafted for their love, and got down on one knee. The love she had for her kitty caused her to rejoice and shout out yes. But that had been Marinette, not Ladybug. Until tonight, she hadn't considered how hard it would be to separate the halves of her, and yet the look on Kitty's face, how he couldn't meet her eye, knowing he had loved Ladybug first? Was he now regretting asking Marinette? Her gut did a flip, as if free-falling, but this time without a parachute, not knowing how she would land. Tiki, are you ready? Yes, Marinette, but are you alright? You know me, too many questions running inside my head, and he has the answers. She shook her head, refocusing her mind. Tiki, spot's on. She was Ladybug once more, and the ring on her finger had vanished. She zipped across the cityscape. The sun was finally going down in the late summer sky, causing an array of golden colours to descend over the buildings and create a magical light. The sensation returned in her gut, wishing she was meeting with her man as his love in front of such a stunning backdrop. She dropped onto the roof of Notre Dame and saw her cat was already waiting for her, perched on the edge with his legs dangling down and the same look of concern on his face. Oh, how much she wanted to walk up behind him and wrap her arms around him, to feel his muscles relax in his suit and kiss the patch of skin on his neck whilst whispering words of comfort to him. No, that will have to wait until he came to her as Marinette. Hey, Cat, she said softly, exposing as much emotion as she dared. Hey, Ladybug, he breathed with a crack in his tone, telling her he was on edge of breaking. What's wrong? She placed a hand on his shoulder, fighting through the pain she felt for him and resisting the urge to do more. Well, he said, finally glancing at her for a few seconds before staring back at the scene in front of him. Is this about Marinette? Her words barely able to escape her mouth. He nodded, and the sensation returned with a double flip. "Yes," he mumbled. "Do you still want to be with her?" The words blurted out of her mouth before she could stop herself. He spun around at her, his eyebrows raised, startled by her tone and her words. "More than anything, I love her, to the point I didn't think it was possible you could love someone that much." His expression shifted from surprise to a longing softness to worry. She had to turn her face away from him, hoping he didn't notice the deep crimson blushing forming under her mask. Clenching her hands to the metal guttering so not to throw them around his neck, pulling him in for a kiss and reflecting her love for this silly kitty in return. Realizing he had never told Ladybug how much he had cared for Marinette. Yes, he had asked to date her, or more, told her, and said they would keep it a secret, but after that, he hadn't gone into details, which had been better for her, enforcing the line between Marinette and Ladybug without shifting their dynamics too much. She took a deep breath, steadying her tone and removing the emotions bubbling inside of her. "Then what's the problem, Cat? Is it the fact that she declared your secret relationship to the whole world the other day? Please say that was the only problem. That's why he wore a look that could break a heart." "Part of it. And I'm sorry about that. She just leapt onto me and blurted it out. I know I should have spoken to you first, like we discussed." That had been her fault. Overwhelmed at watching him sacrificing himself yet again for Ladybug to win had been too much. When she had transformed back to Marinette, all she wanted to do was fling her arms around her kitty, making sure he was real, that he was okay, and that she hadn't lost him. "It's fine, Cat." She shrugged her shoulders like Ladybug would do. "I guess it would come out eventually." "Thanks. But that's not it." He paused and her heart raced. "That night, the other night, I asked her to marry me." He searched her face, but all she could do was mouth, "Oh." "I know I have expressed my feelings for you in the past, but what I feel for Marinette is different. It's hard to explain. It's like I've found the other half to myself." Oh, she couldn't breathe at his words. He never told Marinette this. "That is why," he continued, "I want to reveal my identity." He blurted out the last part. "I want her to love all of me. And that can't happen if she doesn't know who I am behind the mask. I trust her. She won't say anything." He slowly rotated round with a fearful look on his face at being rejected, but for another reason. The words slowly filtered into her mind. He wanted to tell Marinette who he was behind the mask. She would finally find out who this man was. Well, she knew who he was in his heart and actions, but his identity? "You want to tell?" She was stuttering like Marinette. "Hold it together, Ladybug." She breathed deep. "Reveal yourself. She would know who you are." "I mean, yeah, I can't exactly walk down the aisle as Cat, can I? I can't build a life with the woman I love without her knowing who or what my name is, can I?" He grinned for the first time as she watched him picture his life with Marinette in his head. "That is, if she accepts me for me. If she loves all of me." The smile vanished and a look of concern returned. She knew whoever this man was. She knew him, loved him, no matter what his name was, but finally finding out, she knew it would happen at some point. Saying yes had confirmed that, but still. Oh, wait. That would mean she needed to tell him too. Oh. What would he say once Marinette tells him? she had been Ladybug this whole time? Would he love all of her too? I'm sure Marinette will love whoever you are. Her voice sounded more strained than she had wanted it to. Is that a yes? Can I tell her? His voice was full of hope. He turned round and caught her gaze. It won't change anything between you and me. If she knows, I mean, we will always be Ladybug and Cat Noir. That's against the world. She removed her gaze from his, fearful he was reading her mind, and sensed the panic that was now churning at her insides. Yeah, sure, Cat. Oh, she hoped that he will love her, forgive her for being his Ladybug all this time and not telling him. When do you plan on telling her? I'm not sure. I want to do it right, you know? It will make civilian life complicated for a while, but it's worth it. She's worth it. I would spin my world upside down for my Marinette. He climbed to his feet lighter than before. Thanks, Ladybug, for understanding, but I had better... She jumped to her feet, realizing he was about to leave to see Marinette. Normally, after a fight, she had a little time, knowing he needed to recharge Plague before he came back, but this time, he didn't need to. How on earth was she going to get back before he landed on the balcony? That would be a quick reveal. Both of them landing together and she turned around and go, ta-da, I'm Marinette. No, that would be a disaster. You're welcome, Cat. I need to leave, but let me know how it goes on. The words sounded awkward in her mouth. Before he could say anything, as quick as she could, she flung out a yo-yo and leapt off the roof, not sure what direction to take. Notre Dame wasn't that far from her home, and he would see her heading towards Marinette. So she aimed further down the street and would need to transform in an alleyway and dash home. Spots off. Marinette looked into her bag, but she had only bought one snack for Tiki, but noticed she had 2 missed calls from Alia and a message saying it was urgent. She pulled out her phone and saw the disappointment on her little friend's face. Sorry, Tiki. I only bought the one, but we'll be home soon. She held her bag open for Kwamis to escape inside. She dashed out into the street and pressed Alia's number. It didn't ring long until she picked up. Hey, Alia. Girl, I hate to do this over the phone. Can you come round? Sorry, I'm meeting Cat. Marinette paused. What is it? Is something wrong? She didn't know if she could handle any more news tonight. Her head was already swimming. I just found out. I know you were happy and in love with your tomcat, but Nino found out today that... The line went quiet. Alia, blurt it out, will you? It's Adrien. He's engaged to that girl he's been dating. I mean, we haven't met her, and suddenly he pops a question. I mean, who does that? But thought you should know before it hits the magazines and newspapers. Adrien is engaged. Marinette felt her head was about to burst. He had been her first love, crush. That had never happened and now never will. She was more than happy with her kitty and loved him more than she thought she had loved Adrien, but still the recognition that it won't be hit her harder than she thought. Marinette? Are you alright? Yeah, totally fine, yeah. Her tone was strained and high-pitched, but she couldn't think about this now. She had to get back to her kitty, who would be worried where she was. We can talk about this tomorrow. Meet for a coffee? Okay? Sure, that would be good. I'll speak to you tomorrow. I better go. Okay, girl. Speak soon. The line on the other end went dead as Marinette continued to stare at a screen as her kitty gazed back at her. He was her love, not Adrien. He was just a friend. He had only just been a friend. Her screen flashed with a text message. Kitty. Hey, my love. Everything alright? I'm waiting on your balcony for you. I miss you. Kiss, kiss, kiss. He followed it with a gif of a black cat doing a Puss in Boots' enormous eyes, causing her to chuckle. Marinette. Sorry, I was chatting to Alia. She had some news. Be there soon. Kiss, kiss, kiss. At least this time, it wasn't a lie. Well, not a complete lie. On the few minutes dash back to the bakery, a head kept jumping from what Cat had told Ladybug to Adrian to the fact she would have to tell her own secrets. As she rounded the corner to the bakery, she spotted a kitty perched on the railing staring out at the city. The yearning for him returned and the desire to curl up in his protective arms. Knowing now how much he loved her, this was it. Adrian had been her past, but the man waiting for her was her future, no matter who he was. As if he heard her footsteps, he glanced down, grinned, and jumped off, using his baton at the last second to cushion his landing. Good evening, my princess. It's a bit late for a stroll, isn't it? His smile was warm and soft as he held out his arm for her. I could say the same thing to you, Kitty. She wrapped herself in his embrace as he leaned down and kissed her lightly on the lips. I miss you too. She placed a hand on his chest and felt his heart pound. How come you're out so late? Didn't the Akuma attack finish an hour ago? I was speaking to Ladybug. Oh yes. Marinette removed herself from his hold to get her keys out. Come here, it'll be faster. He grabbed her around the waist and extended his baton before she had time to protest and landed her onto the balcony. She let out a light chuckle at the mischievous grin on his face. So what news did Alia have for you that couldn't wait? His grip had relaxed into a cuddle, wrapping both arms around her. Changing the subject, are we? She stared up at him and noticed a blush forming under his mask. No, I just wondered what news she needed to share with you. He darted his eyes around, suddenly uncomfortable at meeting her gaze. She let out a sigh. She wasn't in the mood anymore to play games, to pretend from one side of herself to the other. She wanted to tell me that a friend of mine is engaged, she muttered. Oh, really? Something must be in the air at the moment. My own soon-to-be Mrs. Kitty. He wiggled his eyebrows at her, leaning closer, but she leant back. Breaking out of his hold, it was getting too much. The secrets and the revelations all at once. What's wrong? Are you regretting? Do you not want to marry me? Was it too fast? We can wait as long as you want. There's no rush. Oh, she hated the sound of pain in his voice. She didn't mean that to happen. I do. I love you, but what? Has something changed? Yesterday you were giddy at the thought and now you're hesitant. Does it have something to do with your friend? But why would their engagement affect you? Affect us? Why won't you tell me what you were discussing with Ladybug? Do you still have feelings for her? She hadn't meant it the way it came out, as she watched his expression shift from confusion to pain to hacked off, regretting it all the more. What would I do without your smart mouth, drawing me in and kicking me out? He turned his back on her. You've got my head spinning. You know I don't love Ladybug that way anymore. He glanced over his shoulder and his voice was low. I wouldn't propose to you, but still hold a flame for another. I'm not that guy. I know. I'm sorry I said that. I didn't mean it. She edged a little closer to him, fidgeting with her hands in front. He turned round and placed his hands over hers. I can't pin you down at the moment. What's going on in that beautiful mind? It's as if I'm on your magical mystery ride and I'm so dizzy. I don't know what's hit me." She kept her eyes fixed on his hands, gently cupping hers. "No more lies. No more secrets. I love you more than you could know, but..." She heard him take a sharp inhale. "Before you, I loved another. It wasn't meant to be."
"Is that Buttercup?"
A smile formed across his lips. "Yeah." She cringed at the memory of her younger self rehearsing that scene with her kitty, but it was also the day that she had seen him differently, saw a whole new Cat Noir, one she could love. "Well, I never got round to confessing to him, and I'm glad, as I found you instead, but Alia told me that he's suddenly engaged to someone, and it's caused my head to spin."
"So Buttercup was..."
"Adrian, my friend." "I had the biggest crush on him for about 2 years. She felt his hands drop from hers, and then he took a step back. I don't feel that way now. It's just the shock of finding out, that's all."
"Why didn't you ever tell him?"
"I tried so many times, but the words would fumble in my mouth and I would end up getting it wrong every time."
"Like how you described it in the cinema that day?"
"Yes, exactly. But as we hung out more, leading to our first secret date in the garden, I realized my heart had changed course. It belonged to you."
"Okay. My head is going a bit crazy at the moment, but I'll be alright."
"So it's as if my head is underwater, but I'm breathing fine? Does that make sense?"
"Nope."
He chuckled, but his eyes held still, lost in thought. "Great. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind." She flung her arms into the air, a bit too dramatically, but it made him laugh, and that made her heart sing. He stepped closer again and held his arms open for a hug, which she welcomed with all her heart.
"Marinette, I wish I knew. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. I love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections."
He breathed into her hair, running his gloved hands over her shoulders and lifting her head up for her eyes to meet his.
"Give your all to me, and I will give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning."
He leaned in and kissed her softly at first before pouring out his heart so that she was in no doubt how much he meant to him. They pulled back breathless.
"I was gonna wait and find the right time to do this, but I don't think there would be a better time than now."
Marinette held her breath. Was he about to?
"My meeting with Ladybug was to ask her if I could reveal my identity to you, and I mean, we are engaged, are we not?"
He glanced at the ring on her finger.
"'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you."
"Now? You want to do this now?" She squeaked, taking a deep breath. "Okay, but not here. In my room." She took his hands into hers and guided him through the skylight onto her bed.
"You'll be fine, my love. In fact, after what you just said, you might be pleasantly surprised."
With a smirk on his lips, he gave her a quick chaste kiss before saying,
"Close in."
A flash of green light filled the mezzanine area, causing her to close her eyes for a moment.
"Open your eyes."
She had no words, no breath, no heartbeat. She was frozen, fixed, staring at her friend, her first crush, her love, her soon-to-be husband. Adrian?
Wait, what? Adrian? Adrian, you are... Adrian? This whole time, it's been you. Adrian. Her mind couldn't compute what was happening. The largest grin formed across his face. It's me, your buttercup. No. Oh, the embarrassment. She placed her face in her hands. I think it's adorable, actually. And to know that you've always loved me. He pulled her hands away from her face. Makes me happier than I ever thought possible. Wait. That means I confessed to you my feelings. She smiled back. But, oh, this doesn't seem real. That my kitty is you? Adrian? A wall inside of her cracked before shattering altogether as the two men became one person and the tears washed down her cheeks. Why are you crying, my love? The vision before her blurred as the last 5 years flashed through her mind. Images of Marinette with Adrian, of Ladybug with her kitty, but the happiest ones were of her and Kitty falling in love. Because it's you. It's always been you. And you chose me? But great, now I'm ugly crying. How many times do I have to tell you, even when you're crying, you're beautiful too? He laughed, wiping away her tears from her cheek. Nothing has changed. When the world is beating you down, I'm around through every mood. You're my downfall, you're my muse. Oh, you are my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. I can't stop singing, it's ringing in my head for you. He quickly wrapped his arms around her and kissed her for the first time without the mask. To feel his skin against hers was all-consuming. As she kissed him back, the soft touch of his cotton clothes instead of the cool leather felt strange at first. But as his fingers tips brushed against her neck as he continued into her hair, it was magical. And yet, he didn't know all of her. She pulled back and noticed his cheeks were flushed with a red that reached his ears. Okay. It was her turn now. She took a deep breath. She could do this. She had to do this. But you don't know all of me. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Of course I do. You're my love, my Marinette. He furrowed his eyebrows and the smile had faded away. I am those things, but I'm also... Ladybug. She yanked her gaze up to meet his. What? How? This isn't a game, Marinette. I'm not playing? Tiki, spots on. A flash of red now filled the room, and Ladybug was now kneeling in front of a startled Adrian. She guessed the look on his face mirrored her own only minutes earlier. No. You are? Ladybug? Marinette? My Marinette? Is Ladybug? All this time? Yep. She gestured to herself. It's me. All of me. Now, I'm the one with my head underwater, but I'm breathing fine. It's true what you said earlier. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. Her heart sank and looked away. Have you changed your mind? 'Cause
all of me loves all of you. Her tone of voice grabbed his attention as he placed his hands under her chin. Because I love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. He grinned at her, shaking his head. You give your all to me, and I'll give my all to you. Adrian, my kitty, you're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. She leaned in a little closer. Do you forgive me? I had to tell you, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. My bugaboo, there's nothing to forgive. You give me all of you, and I love all of you. Cards on the table, we're both sharing hearts, risking it all, though it's hard. He pulled her in for a hug, his fingers following the curved edges of her mask. I can't believe my princess is also my lady. He pulled her in for a tender kiss. I have wanted to do that for a while. Now it was her turn to blush, 'cause all of me loves all of you. She giggled. Spots off. Tiki floated out and waved at Adrian as he glanced between Marinette and a little red Kwami. Sugar cube! A little black blur flew out of Adrian's shirt and crashed into Tiki. Flag! You stinky sock! Careful! She grumbled. Marinette and Adrian burst into laughter. He caught her gaze, leaned in and stroked her cheek. I can't believe it. I thought I knew all your secrets and then you turn out to be Ladybug? Honestly, you're not disappointed or mad that I didn't tell you after all this time? You still want to marry me? Wait. Her eyes shot down to the ring and then back at Adrian. Was she engaged to Adrian? She was going to be Adrian's wife. As if reading her thoughts, he rotated the ring on her finger and leaned in, breathing out the words. Will you marry me, Marinette? All of me? Yes. If you will take all of me. Her lips brushed against his. Always and forever, my princess. Or will I be calling you Mrs. Kitty or Mrs. Aggress? Oh my. I'm marrying Adrian. How is she going to explain this to her friends and family? Thank you for listening to the lyrical one-shot, All of Me. I hope you enjoyed it. I've ended up putting all the ships, just the way it's written, it just came out that way. All the ships kind of came into one-shot really. And so yeah, I hope you really enjoyed it. Smash that like button down below if you did, and make sure you comment, tell me what you think of it, which ones it's linked to. There was a lot of clues in there. And if you don't know what to comment, say Mrs. Kitty, and subscribe if you haven't already, because there's so many more videos to come, so many more stories, and so many that have been. So I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.